Hi, everybody. So thanks for joining us today. Keith and I are here to talk to you about ability inclusive design. And it's something that I incorporate into all of my interiors. And Keith is really an expert on furniture. He's a furniture builder, and he can help us figure out how to navigate and how to best design things that offer that kind of accessibility and inclusivity. So Keith, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself first?
Yeah, I've been building furniture since I was in high school. I'm speaking to you from Ferdinand, Indiana. We're in southern Indiana, an hour west of Louisville, Kentucky. Dining tables are our specialty, and I design our tables to be comfortable and easy to set at. And we're sold in 12 showrooms throughout the United States. So that's kind of who I am, and yeah. So is that a
And
good
I'm Kammi Reiss. I'm an interior designer, and I'm based out of New York City, but I've worked on projects here a lot in Long Island and Connecticut and Colorado, like the mountain areas in Colorado. So lots of different environments and lots of different needs and requirements for different types of people. So when I'm designing a home, I like to think of things as not just making things beautiful, but making things super functional. So, somebody will say to me, oh, I want everything big and open. And if COVID has taught us nothing, it's that we need a lot of different spaces. So this is something I've been promoting for years, that we have, that things have purpose and spaces as well as furniture. And then when I design furniture, I've spoken to Keith about projects that we've worked on where somebody will want a table that's super long, or, a big square. And Keith, you want to give us some, everything, when somebody is designing something well, they're not just doing it to make it look beautiful. They're also doing it to make it function well. So Keith, why don't you walk us through that?
And it feels effortless. When it's done well, you don't even think about it. So dining tables are our specialty, and comfort is the most important thing. Like right now, I'm sitting at one of our Nantucket tables. The computer is on the table, and your lap is 18 inches. Most people's, knee from the ground is 18 inches. So on dining tables, it's really nice to be able to move freely, stretch your legs out. I just stretched my leg out and bumped the table. You could see it. You could see it moving. So I like tables with legs that curve in. Like here, I'm going to do screen sharing if that's okay.
Terrific, excellent.
And let's see here. Boom, 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 boom. Yep, Safari. And I'm going to share. And so I'm going to just, okay, let me go to some of our tables here. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to go to our Nantucket table. I'm just going to show you what I mean. So
perfect. Such a beautiful table.
So this is like, if you've got a client that's like in a wheelchair, you see how easy it is to wheel up to this table. You see how there's a lot of overhang on the ends. So I like to design a table with a thin top, legs that curve in,
yeah.
Lots of knee clearance, because you can retract your foot, but you can't retract your knee. So the legs curve in so you can slide around a leg. So our Nantucket table is our best-selling table, and it sells well because it works so well. It's so easy. It's so comfortable. Some designers want central pedestal tables. That's where you got the solid pedestal. And I don't, you have to have a huge table to do that. Like a designer once said, well, I want to do a 48 round Weston, which is a central pedestal table. And I'm like, you can't do that because your lap is 18 inches and then you have to have something on the floor. So the curved legs allow you to do, a table that's only 48 because you've got lots of room. Another thing we've started doing for clients who want to have leaves, but maybe don't have staff or help to get their leaf in and out, is we've been doing self-storing leaves. So like, let me show you, this is an end leaf, and this is one hand operation. You pull underneath the table, and then this leaf comes out and it folds open. One person can make the table bigger or smaller. And then here,
another thing, something I love about this table, Keith, is that with the Nantucket table, it looks, the version that you showed us, it's such a classic table with a really traditional finish. But on all of your tables, I know that we can, mix it up by changing the finish, and it entirely changes the look of the table. Yes,
that's correct. And this blue we did for a client in Palm Beach. These colored woods are so much fun. People think of wood as beautiful, being brown, and it's like, yeah, I like brown wood, but why not blue? Blue's classic, and you're setting this with white, china, crystal, silver, blue.
And especially because you can see the grain in the wood, it still retains like its beautiful essence.
It's not painted. The veneer is dyed the way textiles are dyed. The tree's sliced into veneer. It's immersed in bleach to get the wood color out, and then it's immersed in dye. So I don't put a blue stain on it. The color is in there, and it looks like a jewel or a sapphire because it changes colors based on the angle you look at it, just like a mohair or a velvet would. But anyways, that's finishes. That's not like easy to set at. Here's another self-storing leaf table, and I can do this by myself, but it takes the end leaves are easier to do by yourself. I can do this by myself because I know what I'm doing, but this is a little, I mean, yeah, you can do it by yourself, but you got to have long arms. I was looking for a picture where it's folding but so this is a round table where it opens up and then the leaf folds out of the middle. And again, this is a design you can stretch your legs out. You can slide around. You can wheelchair it. It's very accessible. Now I'm going to show you some designs that, let's see. So if you go to my website, furniture, tables, I'm just going to click on all tables. And I'm going to show you some designs that we do, but they're not as easy to set at. So, okay, so I'm going to go down to our, Weston table. Sorry, it's at the bottom because it's a W.
That's okay.
And this is our new website, which is going to launch next week. This is a development website. Okay, so here is the Weston. So you see how when you have a central pedestal, you can't do a narrow table like that, and you could hit your knees. So, but I tried to scale these so that you've got enough overhang, but I like to stretch my legs out. So anyways, you see how you can't do this 48 round. It's got to be 54 deep or deeper to have your knee clearance. Let's see here. I'm going to show some others. So let's see, dining. Another option that's very easy to set at. So we had a client, they needed a table where you could seat so if you want to do a small table that's easy to set at, the other option is putting your legs on the corners.
Right. The thing that I always run into trouble with on the corners is that when people, maybe because I work a lot with people, in apartments, and so space is a little more limited than it would be in a home. But what ends up happening is, for the holidays or for when you have a big meal, you need to sort of push a few extra people around the table, and those corner legs really don't allow for that.
You're totally correct.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like straight up and down legs, but if you want to do a 42 square table, that's really your only option. You know, if you want to do a really small table, like we're doing a
Right, but
parson.
even like the Pasadena, you could like, you know, fit an extra chair in there.
Yes,
Um,
totally. Yep. Yep. And
right, which
the Pasadena splits and takes 4 leaves in
yep,
the middle, which is, so like here's an image of it expanded. So
right.
that's
So
that's
beautiful.
like when you need a table to double in size, the base has to split. So like
Right.
this for a condo in Boca Grande, where it was living room, dining room, and they wanted to be intimate seating for, and then they wanted to be able to seat 12. So if you're going to more than double the size of your table, the base has to move. But
Right. And I have that all the time where families, you know, 90% of the time they are, you know, 4 people. And so they don't want to sit at a table where they feel like it's not intimate. And then
yep,
this offers them the option. And this is part of what I'm talking about making things flexible. So it's not just for somebody who has a disability, but all of us need flexibility in our lives with everything. And it's hard, you know, you can't anticipate when your needs will change. And
yep.
so in order to have furniture that is flexible, there's no reason that it can't be beautiful, as we see with your tables, which are magnificent pieces of art. But just because, you know, the form and the function needn't be exclusive of each other.
So what I'm showing you here is a triple square to round. So they can have 3 squares, 3 rounds, a rectangle with D ends, or they can have this triple round ganged.
So when you set it like that, when it's rounded, do people feel like they sort of have their back to each other a bit?
Yeah, I kind of think they would. They'd be looking in on their circle.
Right,
But
right,
whenever, like, I think a round table's perfection because everybody's equal.
right.
And you know, a 72 round can seat 8, 60 round seat 6. When you go bigger, you break into multiple conversation groups
I
anyways.
totally agree.
So, you know, a table this big is not going to be one conversation. But anyways, I
Right.
just thought I would show this because it just shows you, you know, the type of flexibility,
Right.
you know, that you can have. And this went to Dallas. Most of these multiple configuration tables seems like they go to parts of the country with large houses, maybe not Manhattan, but Texas, California, like, but, and you see it's easy to set at, you know, you've got a big
Right.
footprint, but anyways, so, do you have any other ideas of things that I should
Well, have
pull?
people, so some of the things, have people asked you for anything since COVID? Have you been asked for desks or any things
Yeah,
that you haven't been accustomed to making, but that if people are feeling more, that they want more and that they want in the quality that you make? Because
yeah,
I'm finding a lot that my clients, there are things that in the past they were like, I don't need that, or I don't want to spend the money on that. And now those things have become really important to them.
yeah, this week we sold 2 desks. One for Southern California, Corona Del Mar. The other one's going to Boston, and they both are variable height desks.
Oh
So
yeah, talk about that a little bit.
yeah,
That's
so
great.
it's just a motorized lift,
Hmm.
so that your desk height can be the standard 30, or it can be it's a set stand desk.
Right.
So yeah, they're nesting and they're putting their homes together so they can do everything from home. So yeah,
And then can does it only have 2 positions, or can it raise just a bit to get your
it,
screen in the right position for
yeah,
a Zoom call?
it's variable. Yeah, it's got a remote and it's variable. Like,
That's great.
so I'm doing the Zoom call and the laptop's on top of my Nantucket table, but I've got a
Right.
foot stack of books.
Of course, we all have a stack of books. What are your books?
I have a book Angus Wilkie's Biedermeier furniture. I've got
Okay.
a Wedgwood book. I've got American Fancy from the Kaufman collection,
Yeah.
Swedish Interiors, and my good friend Sumter Pretty's American Fancy and American Furniture in the Federal Period. I
Oh,
love
nice.
neoclassicism, be it Swedish neoclassicism, Biedermeier, American Federal. I'm always like looking at your classical notions of beauty and how can I do this in a fresh, modern way? So
Yeah.
yeah, and I keep touching the table and it moves. So if I had an adjustable height, yes, wouldn't have that problem. But so yeah.
Exactly. You need to get yourself one of those.
So what books are under your computer?
Um, I'm using my daughter's wedding album
Okay.
and then some photography books.
Okay.
So my husband is an avid photographer and he collects books by, of photography. And so those are my biggest, heaviest books. And so I find that they support the entire base of my computer. But it's a good thing we all have books, right?
Yeah,
I
that's a
always
great
marvel when I go into a home and there are no books. I always think like, who lives here? Because I feel like the books really tell a lot about us.
oh, and I'm
And
so
now
tired
we
of look,
need them for other reasons.
and I'm so tired of looking at a phone or a computer screen. Like I want to look at a book or a real
Yep,
magazine.
exactly.
So,
You know what? I just renewed all of my paper subscriptions. How about
so
you?
maybe magazines and print is going to have a comeback.
I don't know. That's where I started in magazines. I was at, and this will date me, I was at the launch of Elle Decor US
Wow.
long time ago when we were, we were the first magazine made. We had a digital art department, which at the time didn't happen. And I was there, but over the years, I've become accustomed, as we all have, to looking at images, on a screen. And through this, I just felt like I wanted, like you said, like to hold something. And I also think, with the materials that I'm working with, the textures, that's all becoming so, people are understanding why, thanks for bringing up your finishes, yeah, of why those things really impact an environment. And to have everything slick and cool like your iPhone, it really takes the heart out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that limed oak.
There's what I've learned. There's some younger people that have never really seen the real thing, and they're just looking at images.
Yep.
And when you get into the high end of furniture, the wood has a jewel-like quality that you can't experience on a computer screen or an iPhone screen. It'll change colors, it has depth, it has glow. And a lot of your mass-produced furniture, the color is just sprayed on. It
Right.
doesn't have that. And so it's fun when clients or young people get to see the good stuff in person because a whole world opens up to them. They've never seen the really fine furniture with the exquisite woods and the finishes that have the depth and glow and chatoyance.
And
So
also just, I think also to understand that it was made by, like, that there's a story behind the person who made it, that there's like a connection to the piece. So in the same way that people became like so interested in baking bread and, things like that, like somebody like yourself, like this is how you spend your days. Like
yeah,
you spend, I've likened it to like, we've spent the last, decade thinking about our food and where our food comes from. And a lot of us have become very interested in understanding like where where our food comes from, how it's made, who farms it. And I think it's equally important to understand that about the things you live with.
well, I always say
To have your table be farm to table.
I always say objects have energy. And, you know, do you want to surround yourself with things that are of exquisite material and craftsmanship and thought and love and care went into them? You know, it
Right. So I want to bring that back to our, like the topic that we were covering, which is the
yeah.
inclusive design. And I think part of one of the things I try to do, as I was saying earlier, is make things that will adapt to changes in people's lives at different stages. And I think part of what we're talking about here with the finishes is that finishes are alive also. And so the idea that something stays pristine in the way you got it isn't necessarily like your or my intention for it, right? Like the intention is that you live with it, and the same way that you look at, you know, that you're obsessed with that old furniture. Well, that old furniture doesn't look the same. It, you know, it wears in a certain way, you know, it patinas, it, you know, a piece of furniture that's closer to the light might have, you know, to the windows might, like, the color will change a little. And I think for people to understand that that part of that, and accepting the imperfection, and, you know, that comes with that kind of wear and use, is part of what makes something beautiful.
Yeah, and we do a lot of finishes that have a patina from the very beginning. I love how things age. And so I was at the ocean looking at a piece of driftwood, and it's like, I need to do a finish that like matches this. And so these are all finishes that are blasted. We take these fine woods and we sandblast them to tear them up and replicate that texture, because it'll tear out the softer wood, leave the harder wood. So, you know, you can see here, there's oak, black palm, there's walnut,
Right.
but all of these have that worn texture because we've sandblasted them. And when you use these, you don't see wear, you don't see damage.
Right.
So it's a very forgiving thing. I love texture on a piece of furniture. We also do hand planing. The other cool thing about the website is you can click on any, this is the new one we're launching next week. You can click on any of these, and then you can see multiple pieces that are built in that particular
Oh,
finish.
that's great. Because I like to, of course, I know I can get your samples and show them to my client, but I can't always get them to the piece of furniture. And sometimes we're imagining something that doesn't yet exist because you're so good at, you know,
and this
at executing designs.
Yeah, this lets people get an idea of what does this sandblasted gray driftwood finish look like on this whole variety of pieces. So
yeah,
this is going to go live next week. I've got a development website up, but anyways, I love patina. The other thing about our furniture is we believe you buy from us and that's a permanent object. It's not disposable. So myself and Brad and Tom and Josh, the four of us deliver all of our orders, and we always take our touch-up kit and we fix things. If you damage it, we can fix it. So, you know, I'm servicing tables that we made 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Go in and make them look perfect. And then people don't have to worry about damaging it because we can go fix it. It's no big deal. So
yeah, it's that same principle that you design something. I design a whole space, you design, you know, elements of that space in order to endure separate, you know, like in any circumstances, no matter what, how they're used and how they're, you know, experienced by the client.
Hey, Kammi and Keith, sorry to interrupt. We only have a few minutes left. I just wanted to hop in with one of our questions. I think we have time for one, and this is a very good one.
Sure.
So someone said, can you give some more pointers to keep in mind while designing for public spaces? How do you make furniture more inclusive for all kinds of users in public spaces?
Well, some of the things that I do, I've actually done some hospitality work as well. There are some basic things that I always do. For instance, I never use doorknobs. I always use door levers. I like to use fabrics that clean easily. So there are some things that make things accessible to everyone. Just think about like if you put your weight on a door lever, that's very easy to move. Levers also on, you know, plumbing on your sinks. And if you can operate it like with the back of your hand, then somebody whose dexterity isn't great it allows them to do something on their own. And as Keith was saying with the leaves in the table, the more somebody can do something on their own without needing somebody else to help them, the less compromised they feel. So for any of us, right, we like to be able to be independent, and the more things can be simplified in that way, the less complicated, the more that everybody can feel comfortable using items and surroundings. A couple of other things Keith was talking about, you know, the 18 inches is the height from your, you know, your bottom to the bottom, like from a chair to the floor. I also design beds at 18 inches because I feel like if you're in a wheelchair, if you break your leg, if for any reason you're having to shift at a chair height, you can really easily shift onto a bed or onto a chair that's at 18 inches. These beds that are, you know, really high up, 24 inches, you're going to have to climb into. So those are some simple things I do that you would never know while looking at it. The environment is just as beautiful as any other. And that's the idea, is that as a person may have different challenges, the fewer times their environment compromises them, the less compromised they will feel.
I love that. Thank you so much, Kammi and Keith.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely wonderful. So
great talking to you. And bye, Keith. Have a great day.
Thank you for everyone who joined us. We have another panel coming up in just a few minutes. The link is in the chat, so we will see everyone there. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.